Oh, my. Always something.
We are live, by the way.
Thank you. It is 4 o'clock on February 15th, 2021, and I'm officially open this meeting of the Conway City Council. Reverend Gary Lee is in the hallway. If you would invite him in, please, he will lead us in our invocation and pledge of allegiance. All right.
My wonderful friends, so glad that you all invited me, and I am honored and privileged to be here. Let's pray. Father, we thank you for the time and opportunity that you've given us to gather together to conduct the business of this city. I pray that you would give us wisdom and guidance on what to do, how to do it. Help us to articulate our arguments and have the intellect to receive and respond so that we can do what's the greater good for this city and this town. Thank you for our health. Thank you for our strength. I pray for the citizens of this wonderful city, and I ask that you would continue to lead us and guide us into an era of prosperity and blessings. And in your son's name, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Reverend Lee. We'll hear from you again later in the meeting. We'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. I'm sorry,
The agenda.
the agenda. If you will, Mr. Hyman.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you so much. Is there a second?
Mayor,
That's right.
would we approve the agenda?
Thank you. We have a probably seconded motion
Excuse me.
to approve the agenda as it is set forth. All in favor with a show of hands, please. Motion carries unanimously. We are now then at public input. Oh, well, I was just going to do it in the other order. So at any rate, we'll also, Mr. Hyman, if you will, please.
Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, so.
Second.
Mr. Jordan, thank you so much. We have probably seconded motion to also approve the consent agenda. All in favor with a show of hands again, please. Motion carries unanimously. I understand that there is no one present for, there may be one person present for public input. Would you please check, Ms. Round? And Madam Clerk, I believe you said that there is. Thank you so much. That you've received no public input. Thank you so much. Mr. Goldfinch.
Mayor, I move that we close public input.
Thank you. Is there a second? Ms. Timms? Second. We have properly seconded motion to close public input with the absence of anyone here to speak. All in favor with a show of hands, please. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much. We're now at item 6A, special presentation A, Employees of the Month for December 2020 and January 2021. I'm not sure who is presenting. We have Chief Dale Long here.
I had the co-employees for December,
Thank you, sir.
and I'd like to do the presentation to Sergeant Chris Johnson and Officer Tyler Quantmeyer. They were on patrol. We had a rash of armed robberies that were happening in the city, spilling over into the county as well. One night they got a call, got flagged down by a guy who had a flat tire, and looking beyond the scope of that, ended up being a guy. They recognized the vehicle, they recognized his description, they put all of it together, started coordinating.
Were there goods in the car, Chief? Were there goods in the car?
This was a couple weeks later. It was ongoing, and the guy hit us at 4 Mile the gas station across from Walmart, several different times over a couple of weeks, as well as other places in the county. They just knew something wasn't quite right. They started putting things together. They started making phone calls. They started coordinating the response with their investigators. And based on the information they had, they were able to develop enough probable cause to make an arrest that night. Our detectives then picked the case up the next day, and based on their good work that night of laying the foundation, we were able to get confession for all of our armed robberies, and they solved and closed out probably at least a dozen cases because of their thoroughness of not just looking at it and saying, the one thing that I see in front of me is it. They looked beyond that and took their time to really dig deeper. And because of that, they were nominated and selected as employees of the month.
Our congratulations. Thank you so much for your bright work.
Also with the award comes 8 hours of vacation.
Enjoy it. You've earned it. Thank you for being here. Item B is approval of a special event permit, Groovin' on the Green.
There's one more employee of the month for January.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay. Mr. Rogers?
Good afternoon. Our January employee of the month actually is at the meeting and has no idea she's employee of the month, so. Last February, we began planning for our public information officer to be on maternity leave for a few weeks over the summer. 8 weeks has turned into 8 months. June Wood stepped up to the plate, planning to take the reins of our communications operations. Excuse me. Through all of it, June has been at every meeting, coordinated with every department, and gotten out every message that was important to our citizens. Not only has she been an outstanding interim PIO, she helped us tremendously in our search for a new PIO. We're very pleased to present to June Wood the honor of being January's Employee of the Month.
Congratulations, Dan. Mr. Goldfinch has something to say before you.
She's a really good soccer coach. And she's a really good soccer coach.
All right.
And the kids like her.
Sorry, did you finish your sentence?
I did.
All right. Congratulations, June. We're so proud of you and thank you for all you've done. I think you've handled 2 or 3 jobs at once. Now, item B is approval of special event permit, Groovin' on the Green, May days, May 7th, 14th, and 21st, 2021, coming downtown live. Ms. Howard, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm presenting a special event permit for Grooving on the Green, a Friday night concert series with the Classic Car Cruisin'. That's on May 7, 14, and 21. The event time frame would be 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. each event day, with street closures between 3:30 and 10 each event day. Requesting closure of Laurel Street from 2nd to 3rd Avenue, a consumption zone in Central Business and Waccamaw River District, the use of the town green at 200 Laurel Street and the surrounding parking lots, and use of the power at the site 200 Laurel Street site. As with our previous Conway Downtown Alive events during the pandemic, we will adhere to local CDC recommendations regarding masks and social distancing, in addition to the regular cleaning of commonly touched surfaces, including comfort stations and trash facilities. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there questions? There seem to be none. Is this something that the council will decide on this evening?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a presentation and up for a decision. Is there a motion? Mr. Hubbard?
So moved.
Thank you so much. Mr. Hyman?
I would second Mr. Hubbard's motion.
Thank you. Properly seconded motion to approve Groovin' on the Green May days for May 17th, 14th, and 21st of this year. Is there any discussion or are there questions? There being none, all in favor with a show of hands, please. Motion carries unanimously. Best wishes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We'll come out and support you. Item C, 2019 Quattlebaum Awards presentations. Ms. Hyman.
Yes, good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. And we've done it a little differently this year. Normally, we present these awards to the recipients at a council meeting, but obviously due to the pandemic, we wanted to do it a little differently this year. So actually, the mayor and June Wood went out and gave the awards to the recipients on site, which I think was actually pretty nice. And you can speak to that probably more than I could, because we got a chance for staff and the mayor to go on site and see the buildings and see what had actually been done. But I wanted to present those to you so you had an idea of who we're recognizing in the area. As you all know, we do these annual CP Quattlebaum Awards every year. They are for the excellent design and construction of buildings. We have different categories for that. The first award was for outstanding new construction of a residential building, and this was awarded to 1311 Lakeland Drive to the Gadara family. I'm sure some of you recognize this, and you can see the picture here of the Gadaras with the mayor. The next award was for outstanding new construction of a non-residential building, and this is the Surgery Center of Conway at 1405 Main Street. The property owners is VP Investments of Conway LLC, and a lot of us know this is the new Vault Surgery Center. You can see some photos here also, and this has been a great addition to the Main Street corridor. And this is a picture from the interior, which this is a building that if you haven't seen it, on a lot of these, the interior is just as beautiful as the exterior.
If I might just insert
Sure.
one comment. That is a picture of the Bailey Circus that had come to town exactly 3 weeks before the day I was born.
Really?
And the elephants were coming down Main Street, and I thought that was pretty cool that they used it as a mural. And it was so reminiscent of a time when my life started. It's a beautiful building inside and out.
The next award is for the outstanding restoration of a residential building for 509 Laurel Street. The property owners are Jacqueline and Drew Kurlowski. And I wanted to include, this is a before photo for those of you who recognize this home on Laurel Street, and this is the after. And I know I notice it now when I drive by. They've done an excellent job on this home. And it's really been a great addition to the historic residential district. The next award was for outstanding signage project for Papa's General Store at 301 Main Street. And you may remember the mural that was done in 2019. You can see the mayor in this picture also with Chris Smith, and this is on the interior. And this is a little bittersweet, as we all know, because of the loss of Craig Smith, but his son is running the store now, and the award was given to him. And the last award was presented for the outstanding contribution to quality development, restoration, landscape, or design by an organization or an individual. And this was presented to the Derrick Law Firm on 901 Main Street. And I know each of you admire this building. It's really made a difference along with the other buildings on the Main Street corridor, and it's been a great addition. I like this picture. But that's the awards for this year.
I do have a single comment. It would be that while I think there was a bit of something formal lost in the sense that they didn't have their day in City Hall.
Yeah.
But we exchanged that for what was a real personal touch.
Sure.
And it's hard to devalue one over the other, but I think that they were very appreciative that we came to them. They were very happy to have been selected, and I think the choices are wonderful.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now, with item D, have an update from the Conway Chamber of Commerce Economic Development Group, led by Devin Parks. Welcome. Welcome again.
Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Lee, Reverend Lee.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor and council members, and thank you very much for the opportunity to allow me to come and present this update to you today. Am I allowed to take my mask off?
It's up to you. I hear you fine, but if you're more comfortable, you're certainly not in anybody's, I don't think you put anybody in harm's way.
I appreciate that. My name is Devin Parks. I'm the Director of Economic Development at the Conway Chamber of Commerce. To say this past year has been challenging would be a bit of an understatement. We are truly living in a time where no one has a clear-cut understanding of what our future holds in terms of retail development and the direction it'll take over the next several years. Anyone who tells you otherwise is either ill-informed or simply incorrect right now. However, I would like to begin today's update with the most recent polling data accumulated over the past couple of months in an effort to give you a better understanding of our current economic climate and where we're moving forward. From a consumer standpoint, there is a general sentiment that things have not gotten better just yet in 2021. However, almost half of consumers polled believe that the economy will begin to improve within the next 12 months. 37% of consumers have shopped inside a physical store for non-essential goods, with only 31% stating that they have dined indoors or shopped inside a mall. Consumers have also cut back on spending, with 77% claiming to have cut back on purchases as a direct result of the pandemic, and 73% stating that they have significantly changed how they shop and really what they buy. Also of note are the efforts being made by retailers taking precautions to ensure a safe shopping environment, with 70% of consumers stating that they like and appreciate the changes that retailers have made and hope these changes remain post-pandemic. So in terms of safety and operations, the three most common safety precautions taken by retailers include complimentary hand sanitizer, free masks, temperature screening upon entering stores. Consumers have rethought their shopping patterns and really have put more thought into each trip away from home in order to consolidate and limit exposure to themselves and their families. There's very much a quality over quantity mentality right now, and research seems to indicate that these safety precautions will not only maintain in the next 12 months, but a certain version may become our new norm. Over 60% of retailers plan on continuing safety precautions over the next 12 months, regardless of federal and state regulations. Retailers, however, are very optimistic with regard to their expectations of sales to increase in the future. So in February of last year, retail was trending towards setting record numbers prior to the pandemic. 60% of respondents said that they anticipate foot traffic to return to pre-COVID levels at their stores within 12 months. And according to the recent 2021 Consumer Outlook survey, more than half of consumers, about 54%, expect to resume pre-pandemic behaviors once it is safe to do so. Also, 43% of respondents said that within a year, they would resume visits to malls at the same pace as pre-COVID levels, and 42% said that they would visit brick and mortar retailers on a regular basis again. One stat that stood out to me is 65% of consumers indicate that in 2021, they will make a conscious effort to make more purchases from small and local businesses, which should result in stronger, more localized sales trends. It's no secret that many businesses have had to dedicate resources towards omni-channel marketing and strategy in order to remain viable during the pandemic. What I'm referring to, click and collect and curbside options have expanded across all market sectors and will continue to be a service provided post-pandemic. Meeting the increased demand in online ordering requires infrastructure, something that 40% of our retailers have said is one of their greatest operational challenges during the pandemic. Although consumers have come to expect an online purchasing option, smaller brands at physical stores still capture, says that physical stores still capture the majority of their sales, 56% being of their overall revenue, whereas large retailers are saying that about 57% of their revenue are originating from online purchases. We're also beginning to see a trend towards suburbanization and an exodus from larger cities, which certainly isn't anything new for Conway in terms of its residents. However, this trend on a national scale makes a world of difference from a site selection criteria standpoint. As our city continues to grow in population and as the projects I'll be discussing shortly come to fruition, we are in a position right now to recruit national retailers that were not an option for us even as little as 5 years ago. Although the future is bright and locally we have seen a trending spike in business licenses filed, there's still a lot of uncertainty in the local business community, and it will be years before we fully understand the toll that this pandemic has had on our business community and ultimately to the city's revenue. Just digging a little bit deeper with the business licenses, many of these business licenses that have been filed are home-based startups as a result of job loss with the pandemic. So I like to say for every home improvement store that you see or every fast food chain with cars wrapped around the building, there are about a half a dozen other businesses that are pulling in less than 50% of their pre-COVID numbers. There are some silver linings, though. I am excited to announce that in 2020, the city of Conway has surpassed 25,000 in population in the city proper, right at 27,000. At face value, this might not seem like a huge deal, but again, in terms of site selection and retailer criteria, this is another huge step towards landing those big box retailers that would have previously thrown us in the past bin based on that stat alone. Also, please take note of the rate of population increase. We have almost doubled in population size over the past decade. So I'm pretty sure all of you actually can remember a time where you could take a straight shot down 501 from Conway to Myrtle Beach and get there in 15 minutes flat, maybe run into a stoplight or two, AKA the good old days. So in 2000, Carolina Forest had a population count of 3,400 people, which has increased exponentially to 21,000 in 2010 and has since doubled over the past decade to over 42,000. In my opinion, Carolina Forest is a glimpse into Conway's future. You can see our growth rate is virtually the same, and assuming this trend remains consistent, we are currently in the position that Carolina Forest was in 10 years ago. So what's the point to all this? Like right now, Highway 501 and Carolina Forest Boulevard have the highest traffic count in all of Horry County at 53,000 cars a day. There are no overpasses and bottlenecks form daily as a result. So currently our two bridges over the Waccamaw River combined exceeds Carolina Forest traffic count, and the 501 bridge over the Waccamaw River has the highest daily traffic count over any other body of water in Horry County, and that's including the 8 bridges that are currently available to cross the intercoastal waterway. So speaking about our future, the recent closing of the Main Street Bridge and the sandbagging of Highway 501 gave us yet another glimpse into what our future holds in terms of infrastructure. Ride 3 has initiatives to widen sections of 501, essentially putting a Band-Aid on traffic issues. But right now we have the ability to solve our future bottleneck situation, which is the Highway 905, 378, 501, 701 intersection, by preparing for the strain that our population growth has and will continue to have on our infrastructure. We really do believe that Conway needs a bypass. So on the screen, you can see our proposal for a Conway bypass that we believe yields the most minimal footprint while alleviating traffic bottlenecks on a permanent basis. But we really need to begin this process now. Our initial push for the bypass garnered support from the local community prior to the pandemic, but has taken a backseat since. I encourage each of you, if you get a free 5 minutes, take a look at conwayscnow.com/bypass. There you will find a short video detailing the need for this bypass and how we can work together to see a project like this come to fruition. So shifting gears just a little bit, I'd like to take a moment to highlight the efforts we make in terms of local outreach, public education, advertising, and advocacy. We do market Conway SC Now in local magazines, newspapers, radio interviews, and presentations with the goal of being able to educate our local business community regarding opportunities to expand or open a business in Conway and how we can assist in doing just that. We have become a go-to for advocacy assistance within the business community and look forward to continuing our partnership in working together to truly accomplish the goal of being a business-friendly city. We have a long way to go, but are thankful for council and staff's willingness to work with us on past initiatives and look forward to continuing to bridge that gap and change the narrative within the local business community. Our social media presence has quickly become a go-to resource for locals for economic development news, educational webinars, job availability in our area, disaster assistance opportunities as a result of COVID, and project updates occurring throughout the city. For those of you on Facebook, we encourage you to visit and like our Conway SC Now Facebook page for up-to-date project information and much more. In terms of national recruitment, those of you that have served on council for several years may remember that we hired a company out of Birmingham, Alabama called Retail Strategies to represent Conway at national trade shows and conventions. So our 3-year contract with Retail Strategies expired a month before the pandemic hit. So there's certainly been a learning curve on our end, but I am proud to announce that as a direct result of your investment, Conway SC Now has become members of the International Council of Shopping Centers and will represent Conway directly in upcoming trade shows as opposed to Retail Strategies, who represented Conway as one of kind of many other clients on their long list. So we are planning for our first post-pandemic recruitment trip to take place at the Las Vegas Recon Convention in December of 2021. During normal times, we would be attending these conventions in Charlotte, Atlanta, Las Vegas annually, and certainly plan to do just that when circumstances allow again. Here you can see a snapshot of our previous recruiting efforts and an average annual return on investment. So let's take a quick look at how I've arrived at that figure. So Mike from 810 Conway was looking to expand his brand outside of Horry County and even South Carolina as a whole, looking at Columbia and Wilmington for his second and third locations respectively. As a direct result of our efforts, he did decide to stay local and open additional locations in Conway and Market Commons. Now you may notice a spike in revenue for the city after 5 years. This is a direct result of the incentives that you all offered to Mike, which played a pivotal role in his decision to stay local and open 810 Conway. That same spike after 5 years applies to B&B theaters as well. You all may remember meeting with Dennis McIntyre last year to discuss the renovations B&B theaters plans to make. I'm hard pressed to find a sector that has been hit harder than that of the movie theater industry. I did speak with Dennis last week, and B&B theaters are still planning all of the previously discussed renovations once federal and state restrictions have been listed in regard to capacity. At the time of our call, he told me that he is currently working from home in -3-degree weather, watching the snowfall, and would absolutely love the opportunity to come back to sunny South Carolina and give y'all another update whenever you would like. Russell Graham purchased and renovated this 100,000 square foot warehouse for golf cart storage, investing over $2 million to bring the warehouse up to code, ultimately increasing annual city revenue over 40% on this parcel. As you know, the Tealtown McAllister's on 544 is already operational. The second McAllister's Deli is scheduled to open in spring of this year, likely in May, with Eugenia's Steakhouse to follow soon after. This upscale 8,800 square foot steakhouse with an estimated 300 seat capacity will offer a full dinner and lunch menu. And just recently we discovered that they will offer a full service breakfast buffet as well. We're also excited to announce Conway Medical Center's intent to build a state-of-the-art health plaza on 4th Avenue near the 378-701 intersection. Similar to the one in Socastee on Highway 707, this will be an absolute game changer in terms of meeting a clear need for our residents west of the Waccamaw River and will spur connectivity to the downtown area and our 501, 701, 378 Gateway Corridor.
Would you please repeat that location for the plaza, the health plaza?
We don't have an exact location. It's going to be on 4th Avenue near the 378-701 intersection. We believe this facility will serve as an anchor for further 4th Avenue development in the future, not to mention the quality job opportunities this facility will create. So we all know that Firehouse Starbucks out parcel strip center has seen its share of delays, but I can assure you that this deal is very much alive. Both Gator Investments, ourselves, and city staff understand the importance of this out parcel in regard to filling the available space at the Coastal Center with high quality tenants. Click too quick. So thanks to city staff, we believe that we have found a resolution to the discrepancies that have held this project up. And currently the ball is in Gator Investments court to get this deal settled and begin construction. Although we are in the very early stages of this particular project, I wanted to put on your radar plans that we are working on to fill the building next to Norman's Cleaners. I can't release information regarding the tenant just yet, but what I can tell you is if all goes according to plan, this will immediately become an anchor tenant with a proven track record to complement all of the exciting development already in the works in the vicinity of Highway 905 and Main Street. And speaking of these exciting developments just across the street, we've been working with the realtors, owners, and interested tenants to fill the previously vacant 40,000 square feet of real estate in the Jerry Cox building. As of now, an estimated 40% of this square footage has been committed to. Between the previous two projects and all of your efforts spurring on heads and beds development with the proposed condominiums, I really do believe that this block is going to become the future hub of downtown. Additionally, as a direct result of your support in our initiatives, we have many projects in various stages throughout all of Conway. We would like to thank each of you for believing in us, and we look forward to continuing our partnership with the city to further grow our economy and increase the overall quality of life for our residents in Conway. Thank you very much again for having me today. And if you do have any questions, I'd be happy to do my best to answer those now.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry I interrupted you earlier, Mr. Bowfinch.
Excellent presentation.
Thank you, sir.
I know Gary wrote it, didn't he?
Not one word.
Just a couple of questions. In doing your work, what would you say is the largest hindrance to getting, businesses or chains to come to Conway?
Largest hindrance? So for the big box
And
ones
not this
that we
year.
have in mind?
Not this year. Let's put that on the shelf, all things being equal.
It really hasn't been anything impartial per se. I think it's just been our demographics. What we're working towards, though, I think is going to alleviate a lot of the roadblocks that we've ran into in the past. Big box development, specifically the Coastal Center, I can tell you right now that Kmart's lease not coming up until May of 2020 gave them very little to no motivation to fill that big box parcel. That's one of those projects where I hate to say right now, I'm further behind than I was a couple of years ago. We had more commitments, letters of intent, and those things did fall through as a result of COVID. But really, there's no, from a national standpoint, there's no huge discrepancy other than our demographics. From a local standpoint, I think it's just switching up the narrative a little bit within the whole process with the city of Conway and developers.
And that was part two of my question. When they look at, and I knew demographics, but what does that, are they looking at age? Or are they looking at the fact that we have a disproportionate amount of, say, retirees, for instance? Does that factor in? Is it income? Is it because when we think longer term and we think, how do we want to develop neighborhoods? What types of products do we want to allow to be built in these commercial neighborhoods? That impacts all of that.
Absolutely.
And it speaks directly to the types of folks that, retailers and businesses that may want to come or not come, right?
Population, median income. Those are the two biggest driving factors. Median income is one that we're hurting in. On average, we're about 18% lower than the rest of the state, about 23% lower than the rest of the country. I think the average, last time I checked, average median income was $41,000, and consumer expenditures, the very same people that are bringing in on average $41,000 are spending $43,000 annually. Those numbers just don't add up. So what we need to do in order to get that number up is projects like the medical center, increasing job opportunities and the quality of jobs in our area. For the big box developers, soft goods stores, they want to see a couple more soft good tenants, specific chains, not necessarily fast food, more so fast casual, like your McAllister's, your sit down, but quick grab and go kind of food. That's not Chick-fil-A or McDonald's or something along those lines.
I think our population numbers are just going to work themselves out.
They're not hurting.
That's
Not
right, not
now,
hurting
no,
at
ma'am.
all. Ms. Sims, and then Mr. White.
Devin, and all this growth that we anticipate coming, do you see any progress towards getting a hotel, small, medium, large, anything here?
So
Well, I saw that.
in those existing projects, that Fairfield Inn by Marriott, that's exactly where we wanted a hotel to go by Coastal. That's right next to 810 Conway. So that hotel is a step in the direction towards building up another hotel north of that area, a boutique hotel downtown. To answer your question, that Fairfield Inn is exactly the step we need to go in the direction of keeping more not residents, but visitors, not only shopping in Conway, but staying here at night. So they're going to 810 Conway and they're going to the restaurants and they're shopping in our centers instead of going down to Myrtle Beach and staying there.
And they take care of a good many jobs.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. That's one of the more exciting projects that's
And
ongoing
how
right
likely
now.
is that?
Likely is what?
Is Fairfield Marriott?
I mean, as far as I know, the projects have been submitted, right? The plans, it's going to happen.
See, they don't come to us till the tail end, so I don't know this.
Well, to be completely honest, Ms. Timms, this particular project didn't come to us either. Fairfield Inn was who we marketed towards the whole time, but another developer came in and purchased the land. And they're doing a Fairfield, and it's exactly what we had anticipated it being and hoped it would be.
Well, I guess, just so it comes, we'll be happy.
As will we. Yes, ma'am.
It's also not our only.
It's not
It's
what,
not the only hotel that we've talked to. And all of the people that we've talked to that's been interested in hotels are not first-time hotel developers. So what's been priceless is the relationships that we built with the existing hotel developers who, once we get one established or settled, it's very likely they make a call, the hotel comes.
And I didn't bring this up just because it's just south of city limits, but we are working on an additional hotel as well. To us, there's a huge impact to the city proper, even though that hotel will be just outside of city limits as far as building our infrastructure and preparing for our future, providing more jobs. Site selectors and retailers don't necessarily look at borders. They don't really care where your municipality ends and begins for that very reason. They're worried about 3-minute, 5-minute, 10-minute drive times, 5-minute radius population, things of that nature. So it's hard on our end to discourage development just outside of city limits when we know the benefits that it will have towards the city.
Plus, it makes a big impact when it comes to, like you said, jobs. Yeah. They will hire you from the city.
sure. My question had to do with the specific site, as in the old bylaws in Conway. Have you considered or asked any companies, grocery stores, like say, to occupy that space?
Yes, sir. We have actually gone through every single grocer and contacted them. But I'll tell you this, based on some of those stats that I was going over at the beginning, I have every intention of circling back and revisiting that, because again, this trend of people mass exiting cities and larger city life is only going to further help our cause. And the dynamics of the grocery stores in the past year have completely changed. I mean, you look at the online availability to click a couple buttons and, have that curbside availability. That changes the dynamics and it changes the criteria that site selectors have and grocers have. So we've ran through that chain. We've gone through some soft goods. I want a grocery store there. I think that needs to be a grocery store. We've got some hurdles. That former Harvey's is a tough site, but ideally for our residents, there is no better solution than having a grocery store there. We just got to find one that's interested.
Thank you.
I had a conversation with 3 mayors in the state who represent towns that are much smaller than Conway. One of them recently grew to 3,000 in population. And what I found very interesting was that they said that the Ingalls chain is very responsive in those kinds of more rural communities. I'm not certain if they're talking about smaller footprints and smaller deliveries, but that Ingalls in particular has a kindness towards smaller places. So they might be one that you've had some contact with or that you may want to at some point.
Yeah, absolutely correct. Ingalls gets into that market. They look for places like a Carolina Forest and the cannibalization of local markets and try to fit right in between. Ingalls was one of the more receptive ones. Yeah.
Going back to what William Goldfinch was talking about, demographics vary from city to city. So it's not a one stat fits all. For instance, in particular with the grocery stores. So we're way more marketable to Ingalls, Aldi's than we are a Whole Foods,
Right.
or Publix,
Right.
because
Sure.
it deals with not just numbers, but also median income, like he was talking about, and a list of other factors. So.
Sure.
Thank you.
Mr. Hammond, I'm sorry.
Is the thought process of the demographics as far as growth to curtail your growth into a higher demographic? I mean, as far as new development, and I'm talking about residential. I mean, is that the goal, to raise a median income?
Yes, absolutely. I think the population increase is going to take care of itself organically. We've seen that. What we need to do is attract higher quality jobs, keep the graduates at Coastal and Tech, because Tech is a great opportunity for those niche job opportunities that there is a huge market in this area for. So those, in order to improve that median household income, got to keep people here that graduate from Coastal and or Georgetown Technical College and keep them here in the area. And I'm
Yeah, that's really important. We're talking about with tech, and I think that's not a common known fact. Graduates that graduate from Horry Technical College, they tend to graduate with a higher income out the gate, and they tend to stay local. So the graduates of Horry Georgetown Technical College, currently their graduates do more for increasing our median income than Coastal Carolina, which we love, they're incredible, but there is a longer time period before it takes impact into our city.
That's right. I can understand an undergraduate degree in psychology and what kind of job that attracts.
Political science.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
What is it?
Right.
I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that a lot of the guys and girls that are going to tech are also working a lot of times while they're going to tech.
Absolutely. And
I think that's a great thing.
And I want to give credit to Horry County School District. Because with their program with AAT and early college, while they're in high school, they're getting certification to be an operating professionals.
That's right.
That's really peculiar in areas, but that is a wonder to increase chances of our median income going up.
Anyone else? Well, thank you so much for a really promising presentation.
thank you.
We've got a lot to look forward to,
Thank you all very
and
much.
we're enjoying what's already happened. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is item 7, final reading of an ordinance to rezone 6 parcels totaling approximately a half acre of property located along Spivey Avenue and Church Street. PIN plural 36803040079, 36803040083, 36803040084, 36803040087, 36803040088, and 36803040089 from City of Conway Residential R1 to Highway Commercial. Ms. Hyman.
Yes, and this is a request that's been before you previously, and I know the applicant is also in the hall if there are more specific questions that you may need for him. We included the information that had been in your packet previously, but after the last meeting, I know there was a request for a little more information on the site. So in your packet was included a graphic that tried to help explain what was already zoned commercial, what was proposing to be rezoned commercial, landscape buffers, vacant lots. And I have that graphic also up on the screen. If anyone needs me to point something out, I'd be happy to do so.
Thank you so much. Are there questions of Ms. Hyman before we entertain a motion? Mr. White?
Not necessarily a question, but an issue, in that we don't know exactly what this gentleman plans to build there. I would like for us to consider not doing this at this present time until he has a concrete plan about what he wants to do.
Mayor, if I may.
Please.
So for a land use standpoint, the land use is appropriate based on the list of things that could go there. It's actually improper to ask what he's going to do on the property from a standpoint of the land use. So while it is helpful when we know what's going there to be able to visualize what's coming, it's not required of an applicant to have a plan to do that. The land use is highway commercial, so it could be anything on the list of highway commercial uses. The best ones or the worst ones could go there if the rezoning is given. That would be the case even if he showed you a plan saying, I'm going to put the best gas station in the world there or the top end bookstore in the world there. Once you approved it, he could change his plans and go to something else. So I just need to caution council that although it's helpful to have a plan to help visualize, it's not required of an applicant, and it would be improper to require it before a rezoning request were to go through. So.
And if I might just add to that, the rest of it is, again, an immediate plan isn't the long-range plan. Properties change hands, buildings burn, people trade off. And even if we started with the bookstore, it could very easily, in a matter of just a very brief time, turn into some other things
Good point.
that we all could name.
And may I throw this back to you as well? Just because it's on a list of items that can go there, it still does not necessarily say that it have to fit what the community that's there presently wants or needs. And that, I just had to throw it out because so often we just let everything go just because it's a business, they can do this, 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 and this. And we need to think about the residents that live in the area as well. Thank you.
All right, sir. So, anything else? We'll certainly entertain, this is final reading and we'll, if there is a motion to be heard. Yes, sir, Mr. Goldfinch.
Staff recommended passing this. Can you go back over your thoughts there?
Absolutely. The main reason is because after, we do have the future land use map, as y'all know, we did that last year. And it did identify these parcels as highway commercial, but upon, that's the best stab at that time that the staff and the committee can bring forward. And one thing that's a little different about our future land use map is it's parcel by parcel. So it's very detailed. So there is sometimes things that need to change, whereas the county is a little broader stroke. But with that, after closer inspection, when this request came forward, is the fact that those lots that are requesting the rezoning are non-conforming. Nothing could be built there now. The paper road is an issue because if someone did want to build on those lots, not only are they already too small, they'd have to provide a road, making lots even smaller. Plus they'd have the burden of having to build that road up to city standards and dedicate it. So it really was something after staff looked into it that it will help clean this up. And it's not, I completely understand the concern about encroaching into a residential neighborhood, and that's a concern of staff's as well. However, if you can look on the map, that bright red is the commercial now, and what they're proposing is the orange to change to commercial, but they'll still have that buffer, the paper road and the vacant lot. So it's, although it is commercial up against the residential, it's not a new encroachment. It's just moving the line a little, and in the process is cleaning up some non-conforming lots.
Ms. Timms.
I'd like to make a motion that we decline this at this time. I think at a later time it may be more appropriate. We may have better vision.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'll second.
Mr. White, a properly seconded motion to decline or reject the ordinance that is before us. A properly seconded motion. All in favor with a show of hands, please. Mr. White, Ms. Timms, and yours truly, and all those opposed, please. Mr. Hyman, Mr. Goldfinch, Mr. Hubbard, and Mr. Jordan. So the motion does not carry and moves in favor of the request to rezone. Mr. Hyman?
There still needs to be an
I think
alternate motion.
that was the thing. I didn't know if I needed to make an.
Oh, I'm
alternate.
sorry. Is that right? I didn't know that. I don't know that we've ever done that.
Doesn't happen very often.
Okay. Mr. Hyman.
I would move that we accept final reading of the ordinance.
Okay, let me just ask the question. So a rejection of a denial does not mean
That's
that
correct.
it's positive.
That's
I
correct.
see.
It still could fail for lack of a new motion, or there could be an alternate motion like to defer or to alter anything. There still needs to be an affirmative
Okay.
motion to approve.
I think that's new to me, or it's
I
been
don't
a
think
long
we've
time
ever
since I've been
experienced
reminded. Mr. Hyman, we've heard your motion. Is there a second? Mr. Goldfinch.
I'll second that motion.
Now we have a properly seconded motion to approve the request for rezoning. Any further comments?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Madam Clerk, I just want the minutes to reflect this if they may. I was, and I think I mentioned this 2 weeks ago, reluctant. In fact, the idea that you go from residential to a commercial just didn't sit well with me until I rode out there and realized that this is an opportunity, in my view, to protect that neighborhood. Because if they do develop that at some point, number one, I trust the developer. And to your point, Mayor, and it's a very valid point, we don't know what happens down the road. We don't. But we know who we're dealing with now. And you're talking about a lifelong resident who has been before us many times, who will undoubtedly come back to us many times. And I have absolutely no doubt that whatever they do will be in good taste. Go look at the newly remodeled peanut warehouse as an example. But my concern was that road on the back. And if this property got into the wrong hands, someone literally could, at their own expense, of course, but go in there and cut a road and expose all of those lots and all of those neighbors to traffic that's never existed before. And I think by doing this, it protects that neighborhood and forces ingress, egress from Church Street, not the neighborhood behind it, thus protecting it. So anyway, I just wanted that to be reflected in the minutes. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else? And while I'll make this comment, while I certainly appreciate what you just said, Mr. Goldfinch, I just think that we could have gotten the same protection with a lesser zoning other than highway commercial. But I appreciate what you said. So now we'll call a vote. All in favor of the approval, if you would please show your hands. Those four are Mr. Jordan, Mr. Hubbard, Mr. Goldfinch, and Mr. Hyman. And all those against, with a show of hands, please. Mr. White, Ms. Timms, and yours truly. So the motion does carry with a majority. And thus is the finding of this council. Item 8, first reading, A, of ordinance ZA 2021-0315A, an ordinance to annex approximately a half acre of property located at I guess it's hard to know what's going on inside. I apologize.
I'm telling Bobby.
Take your picture.
Please. I'm going to start over.
Yes, please.
First reading of item A, which is ordinance ZA 2021-0315A, an ordinance to annex approximately half acre of property located at 1053 Academy Drive, TMS 15000022165, and request to rezone from Horry County Residential SF10 to City of Conway low to medium density residential R1. Ms. Hyman.
Yes, this request, the property owner intends to build a residence, and because they are contiguous to city limits, they are requested to request annexation. They're required to request annexation. This is one that staff does not recommend annexation. We currently don't have any properties on Academy Drive, so it would be a real strain on our services to have just this one property within the city limits. There's also a letter from the property owner requesting that you deny the annexation, just for your reference also. The reason that this one's coming forward now, you may remember a few years ago, or maybe last year, this year's been a blur. My timetable's a little off, but we annexed the Westmoreland tract for conservation, and this property backs up to it.
Me too.
So what you're saying is that we would have created a donut as opposed to the whole by annexing this property?
Well, it would be one little property on a long road. It'd be the only one. So
Sure.
our
Or the beginning of it,
sanitation
then,
trucks would have to drive down the road just for this one property.
All right. I then move that we deny the annexation.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a properly seconded motion to deny the requested annexation just read. Is there any discussion? Oh, okay. Is there any discussion? There being none, all in favor with a show of hands, please. This request for annexation is denied. Item B is first reading of ordinance ZA 2021-0315B, an ordinance to annex approximately a third acre of property located at 5110 Converse Drive, TMS 15118120006, and request to rezone from Horry County Residential SF10 to City of Conway low to medium density residential R1. Ms. Hyman.
This is a similar request. This is an existing home that's recently changed ownership. But staff also recommends denial of this annexation after talking with Public Works, Public Utilities, Fire, Police, Sanitation. This is another that the majority of the neighborhood's still in the county, so staff would prefer not to annex at this time because it would be a strain on services. But just to clarify the last request and this one, staff will work with the applicants to sign the restrictive covenant. So in the future, if we are ready to annex, we can ask them to do so at that time.
I move to deny first reading.
Thank you, Mr. Goldfinch.
I'll second that motion, please.
We have a properly seconded motion to deny this reading for rezoning or for annexation, I'm sorry. Is there any discussion? There being none, all in favor with show of hands, please. Mr. Hubbard, thank you so much. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
And now item 9, consideration of a resolution to amend projects and budget for the city of Conway's HUD Cdbg Entanglement Grant for the 2018-19 year. Mr. Rogers.
Good afternoon again. In 2020, Conway City Council began a small business assistance program in response to the COVID pandemic. The entire year 11 Cdbg allocation that we received from HUD was budgeted for the program. The program was successful and ended up using $87,919.19 of the $240,078 allocation. It leaves a remaining balance in year 11 of $152,158.81. That the small business program has closed out, so there'll be no more use for that program of that money. Staff proposes using the balance of the year 11 allocation to reconstruct and rehab the Smith Jones Park pool, which was damaged last year. The goal of the project would be to have the pool open for at least part of the winter, the warm months of 2021. Amendment of the budget requires a resolution be passed by council and delivered to Horry County Community Development outlining the changes. So that's here for your consideration.
May I ask a question, please? Once it's presented to the county, is there a requirement that they approve prior to? I know that the city would be approving it in one sense by delivering a resolution, but would we also have to wait for the approval of the county?
Yeah, we've talked to them about that and they intend to move fairly quick on that.
Okay, thank you so much. That's exactly what I needed to know.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Ms. Timpson and Mr. White.
There's no possibility that this can be open during any of the summer months.
Yeah, we hope we can have it open at least part of this. I don't want to say for as soon as it gets warm, but for at least part of this summer.
Sooner the better. Mr. White.
And my question is exactly what are we going to do to Smith Jones Pool? Do you know?
We would, the contractor, and June could probably tell you better than me, but basically proposes using the shell of the pool that's there, kind of cutting off the bottom of the deep end, laying a new bottom and placing it back in to kind of, it would be a similar pool without a deep end.
I had mentioned a splash pad.
Right.
Is that too expensive to go along with this piece?
We actually had discussions with that, and there is money out there that possibly could be used in the future, but the splash pad would be a new project and has a longer time to get it done. So if we tied the two together, it would almost have assured that we could not have the pool open this summer. But that is something we're having discussions about.
Forget I said that.
Good question, Mr. White.
Thank you.
All right. So at this point, I guess, unless there are other questions or comments, I would move then that this council approve a resolution to be presented to the Horry County requesting the use of those CDBG funds for repair of the Smith Jones Pool. Mr. Jordan.
Second.
We have a probably seconded motion to that end. Is there any discussion, any questions? There being none, I'll call a vote. All in favor with a show of hands, please. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much, Mr. Rogers. Item 10, City Administrator's report. With a smile on his face.
You can't see it yet. Well, I do have some good news. Our COVID numbers are coming down a little bit internally, which we hope is a good sign. And they're actually coming down statewide too, which is we are also very encouraged by. Right now, we only have 2 staff members out who have positive test results. So that's probably the lowest it's been in a number of, I would say, months since we've only had 2. We have 3 out in quarantines. We have 5 out total with some version, but that is a big improvement from recent months. I know you've probably already all noticed, but I've got this. Never mind, I got control. The power lines and poles are now down on 4th Avenue. Probably for the first time in anyone in this room's lives, there's no overhead power on 4th Avenue. And it was interesting to go out last week and see the poles up with no power and just the street feels different. And I've said it before is once you've buried the power lines, at some point you're aware that they're gone, but you don't know what's different. You just know it feels better. And today was that day for me. It's amazing how much difference it makes. From an aesthetics perspective, there's no project with a bigger community benefit than burying your power lines. You just cannot. The amount of garbage overhead that is gone it's crazy. From an economic development standpoint, it's another example of the city investing in itself to show private investment that they should invest in us as well. And finally, it will also allow us to grow a tree canopy on 4th Avenue that otherwise we could not have grown. So when you consider some large cities that have been successful in rejuvenating their downtowns like Greenville and Spartanburg and Charleston, the tree canopy is a big piece of that we were otherwise prohibited from doing on this street because of the overhead power. So it's a step in the right direction for the future of the street, and we hope that it makes a big difference in the redevelopment of it as well. Last week, we got word that the city has been awarded the largest grant in our nearly 300-year history. The Economic Development Association granted us $6.1 million, of which we must provide 25% as matching funds, which are currently budgeted in this year's budget. This project will essentially double the capacity of our sewer main line, which runs along Crabtree Canal. It'll also add an additional second pump station near the Park Hill neighborhood, which will allow us to reroute some existing utilities to that station to remove some of the capacity issues on the existing network. This will set Conway up to accommodate the growth that we know is coming both to Conway and the outskirts of Conway, because this particular line also accepts the sewage from both Aner and Loris. That's how much comes through this station that is not generated by the city. So this will allow us to be able to increase capacity, not just during storm events, which is crucial, but will also allow for economic development purposes inside and outside the city to add to the capacity of the line. I want to congratulate Roseanne, John, James Friday, and his staff for working more than a year to secure this funding. I think we applied for this grant in January of 2020. And since then, it's been constantly updating and getting information. So that's a big coup. I'm going to bring it down. Obviously, we're flooding again. We've had 8.3 inches of rain so far this year, and we're only in mid-February. We're at 11 3/4 feet in the river right now, which is in minor flood stage. We will get to 12.2, which is moderate flood stage by this weekend. The projections, this is what we see when we get river projections. You can see the 12.2 there as we near the weekend. What you don't see there is a crest. What you see is a stable line. That does not mean that it won't go higher than 12.2. The amount of rain we've got in an already swollen river leads us to be a little bit discouraged about what could happen after this weekend. At 12 feet, we have to close the boat ramp, and we worry about some of the banking issues down there. At 13, we have to close the playground and remove the electrical connections. And above 13.5, we have to worry about Laurel and Elm Street. So that kind of gives you an idea of what the river levels do to our infrastructure. That's all I have on that one. Let's go back here. Back to this one. Okay. Back to good news. The Senior Watch program that I discussed at the last council meeting is moving forward. It's been very popular so far. I don't have any numbers yet on those who've signed up, but I do know it's been a constant phone ringing for Tyrese Neesmith, who's running the program. And once I get some numbers, I'll be back in touch with you to let you know how the program's working. Our recreation department has a couple updates for you as well. They're planning on moving forward with summer camp this year. They're going to be taking additional precautions like we took last year, which allowed us to be able to finish the season with summer camp in place. It's a crucial thing for our residents to be able to have that and be able to allow the parents to work and have the kids in something that's meaningful. And registration for that will begin on March 1st. And we will make sure that all the COVID things that we did last year and more will be implemented to try to keep everybody safe. Our recreation department is also conducting a drive-through Easter egg hunt this year on Saturday, March 27th. Anyone interested can drive through the rec center, not through the rec center, but through the rec center parking lot, and receive an allotment of Easter eggs to take home and hide with their families. The eggs will be pre-filled with candy. Some will have prizes in them that can be redeemed here at the recreation center after Easter, and they come back in with a little tag.
That's a great idea.
And finally, the last piece I've got is good news also. I want to let council know that our search for a public information officer has ended. Brooke Holden, formerly of WMBF News and most recently the PIO for the Sheriff's Department, has accepted the position with the city and will start on Monday. So this is June's last council meeting as our interim PIO, and I want to give her another big round of applause. And I am going to turn it over to Jeff LaValle for the first department head update, followed by Timmy Williams.
Thank you.
Well, it's exciting news. I'm not sure I could follow all that. I'm going to give you an update on our infrastructure of what the city currently has as far as technology. We currently have approximately 261 computers spread out throughout the city. That includes laptops, mobile devices in the police cars, as well as desktop computers that staff uses. 87 of those are dedicated to the police department itself. We have over 100 cellular devices, 31 servers that manage everything from GIS to finance and the email system. We have 25 network devices spread out over 14 locations. These handle all connectivity for the city in both wired and wirelessly. The city's internal phone system has 2 controllers and 3 servers that handle voicemail, that handle the desk phones, it handles the call flows, it handles the greetings that people hear when they call. And the call recording system that records the phones in the police department. Camera systems include 4 dedicated servers, and we have over 100 cameras spread out throughout the city and growing. Staff recently completed an email server upgrade, migrating over 300 mailboxes to the new server. And we've also completed an antivirus server update, moving all clients to the new server there. In December, a major vendor, SolarWinds, had a security breach to their software platform, affecting thousands of customers worldwide, including the city. We took the server that we had in place offline immediately upon hearing of the breach and worked with SLED to scan the city network and verify that there were no affected internal devices. The server has been permanently removed from our network and replaced with a different platform so we can continue to monitor and back up the city's network devices. We are currently working on upgrading all the police body-worn cameras with new cameras. These updated models add multiple microphones, full encryption, embedded GPS, and they're LTE connected. So these videos will offload immediately after being recorded. The police will no longer have to wait till the end of their shift, go back, dock their body cameras, and wait for the video to get uploaded. The supervisors will have that video immediately upon after the traffic stop, for example. And lastly, I've moved into my new office downtown as of Friday.
Thank you so much, Mr. LaValle. We know we couldn't do this without you.
I try. So, thank you.
Thank you. I believe Mr. Williams is coming in. Hey, Mr. Williams.
How are you doing? Thank you for having me here this afternoon. I just want to give an update on the ground and maintenance department organization chart. This is going to be part of my budget document. So if you need to go back and visit something or add, you can with administration. I just want to let y'all know that the last time I was here, we talked about how many employees that I had. So what we ended up doing was, I've been working on this for a while. And what we did is divide them up into 4 supervisors. And then in those areas, They are responsible for several areas under their leadership with supervisor and plus employees. So it gives a little bit more detail and breakdown of what's going on in the department. It makes the supervisor accountable for their areas. So it's a big piece of the puzzle, and I just wanted to bring that forward you tonight. Also stating in this organization chart, there is not a executive director for Keep Conway Beautiful. That position, I have that in the budget for this year, not this physical year, but upcoming for a new position. So when you go to your budget retreat, can you please?
Speak up.
Just a little background. I just wanted to tell you, we do have somebody on staff that's working in that capacity, but the position that she's assigned to don't allow her to pretty much feet on the ground and out there to see what's going on. So it kind of hindered that position. I just wanted to get that through to you all. Do I have any questions for you?
I'll wait. I don't know whose hand was up first, Mr. Hubbard and then Mr. Goldfinch.
On the
I'll follow
ED
this.
position, would that just be, would you move this person that's already doing those responsibilities into that position and hire somebody to take care of ours? I mean, are we creating a new position, or are we just,
Let me make sure I understand.
are we upgrading one person, or are we going to hire somebody else as well?
Well, the discussion came up with the city administrator that we possibly can move somebody into that and move up with internally if possible. But that position has to be budgeted. It's a budgeted position. If it's not in there, we won't be allowed to do it.
That answers my question.
That was my question.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I was going to ask why we need an executive director. Well, and does that imply that this executive director person has to do this full time?
They can take on other job duties also. We discussed that with the administration also.
But this is a requirement of the grant money, for example, of the grant itself? Okay.
This is a full-time job
To be the ED for keep coming.
Yes.
Beautiful.
It's a full-time litter supervisor position.
I see.
Thank you.
I see. Was it paid?
No,
Is it up to us?
we'll know in 2 weeks.
Okay. Okay. All right. Anybody else?
Timmy, when we're sitting there at the budget retreat and Adam's going through the list of items requested, and we'll be sitting there, and sometimes I just have to. We'll get.
I only ask for in my budget what's the stuff that I need. I don't try to go, say I need 15 wheelbarrows.
I'm just having fun.
Ms. Timms?
Wheelbarrows, it's the side-by-sides.
Yes.
Ms. Timms?
Tammy, computers come with size font bigger than 2. If you want me to read it, you got to do a little.
I take it to the
No comments, will you?
I'll update that.
Get Gene a poster.
Anyone else? Well, thank you for all you do. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Mr. Williams, thank you again. Thank you so much. You too. Mr. Hammond, who goes first?
Did you go first last time?
Come on, man.
I'm glad I'm not the only person who can't remember.
It doesn't
You
matter.
seem to have a good, you seem to keep up pretty well, and I was depending on you.
I think he went first last time, but it doesn't
Who knows?
I'll go first.
Who's got a coin? Never mind.
Just,
Mr. Jordan,
I,
please.
pre-
Now we're doing,
yeah, that's right.
That was
She hopped
because-
around the room. That's what thrown us off.
I was
So we're
trying to
good.
save the mayor pro tem and yours truly for last, and I think that had something to do with it. And that
No
wasn't a
worries.
regular meeting. That was
Workshop.
Yeah,
that was
that's
a workshop. Mr. Jordan,
Sorry.
and I'll come around this way, but don't skip me.
So, no, very briefly, thank you, June, for everything that you have juggled here in the past few months. Now back to babysitting Ashley. So good luck with that. And to staff with the $6 million grant, job well done.
And to whoever is doing this rain dance, would you please stop? I think it's Mr. Goldfinch, but time will tell. So but with that, I'm good.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Mr.
you.
White.
Yes, ma'am.
And welcome back, Mr. White.
Thank you very much. Keep praying for me.
Oh, yeah.
Two things. On Holland Avenue, there was, I guess, a pipe that was, the street was pulled up. It's in disarray now. And they laid pipes from one side to the other side, a connection or somewhat. But the road has not been repaved. And it's very hard driving up and down that way. And I know we can't house these folks, but as far as the homeless population and the weather, now, are we doing anything about that? How are we housing them, if we are or not? What are we doing about it is my main question.
We have not been contacted by anyone in need. If someone were, we have plans in place, but we have no shelters open at this point. But if someone came to us in need, we have the ability to help them.
Very good. Thank you.
Ms. Timms, thank you, Mr. White.
Thank you.
I called Adam this morning and I asked about the panic alarms in the middle of the night last night, which apparently, I don't know if anybody else heard them on council or not, but at 12:17, I think we had every police car in the state, I thought, going down Main Street, some through my neighborhood, lights flashing. And, we get a lot of notices about, no, he slept through it. We've already talked about that. You can worry about it. It was really, I don't know what our rules are pertaining to this. I realize a lot of these cop cars were county. But I mean, it's terribly alarming. Between that and the train, you get about 2 hours sleep. Anyway, I'd like to know what kind of rules we have for when they run their alarms and lights and when they don't. It's scary.
If they're chasing someone like they were last night, we have the lights and siren going because it's the only way to safely chase them. I don't want to get too much into the detail of that traffic stop right now, but if we're responding to an emergency in a manner that might be a safety concern, we run the lights and siren.
Well, my concern is if it's a baby in the back seat of a stolen car, turn on everything we've got. If it's just a stolen car, they were traveling pretty recklessly to be just after a car.
But there are policies that guide that, and I'm not familiar with what they are, but I can find out.
And you may not know. I mean,
I can
don't
find
know
out
how
for you.
know. Well, it's not so important that I know, but it's important. We do get notices of most of the wrecks and things that happen around here. And when nothing came through on the phone, I really wondered what in the world was all that about.
I do my best not to text you at 12:17.
I was already up, mind you.
To text everybody else who wasn't at 12:17, unless
Yeah.
there's a matter of immediate importance.
But you didn't hear him either, did you?
No, I didn't.
Well, I must have had some drink. Also, I wish that we could get regular reports on what's happening with the water in areas like out behind Trinity and up around there, places that people might drive through. Long Avenue's probably going to get closed first, but
So far, nothing's closed. We let you know when we close them.
Yeah.
And if it's safe to be open, we don't let you know because it's too routine to update you when it's safe. As of right now, all roads are open, except for probably Depot Road, which we don't close. That's the state road.
okay.
I just assume it's underwater.
I think that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Timms. Mr. Halbert.
Real briefly, fortunately, we're not losing June. She's staying with us, so that's good news. And Justin, it's certainly not me doing the rain dance. I'm not able to dance right now. When I am, if you see me dancing, please give me a ride home.
Consider it done.
That's all I have.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hubbard. Mr. Goldfinch.
Mayor, I don't have anything today.
Thank you, Mr. Goldfinch. And Mr. Hyman.
Mayor, just a couple of things. In regards to the rain, I actually rode around Saturday and Sunday. I'm about stir crazy at the house. I wanted to see about the flooding in the roads and was absolutely shocked. So I don't know if that's Timmy or Brandon or who, but I didn't see it anywhere that we normally have it. And I don't know if that has a lot to do with some of the preventative stuff we're doing or sheer luck. I'm not sure, but we've certainly had the rain where I think in the past we would have some flash flooding. And if social media is good for anything, it lets you know when people are mad. And I haven't seen any of the flooding stuff. So as far as that goes, kudos to our crews for working on that because it does appear to be paying off. And June, you've done a great job. You've been our normal, so we'll have to get used to somebody else. That's all I have.
Thank you so much. I want to echo the thank you to June. Nobody would know that is not your normal course of work. You stepped right in and did a fantastic job. You didn't just substitute. You did a great job, and we appreciate that. You won't be forgotten. 4th and Main, I'm delighted. I got the text message and I noticed those wires gone immediately. There are just 2 other benefits. Not only is there this fresh aesthetic, like air can get through, but there's this piece on safety as well. Lightning strikes and automobile accidents don't happen with those poles because they won't be there anymore. And then the added convenience of not losing your power because a pole has been hit and that sort of thing. That one just has made a tremendous change. It's, they all do, but this one in particular. Delighted about our success with the EDA grant. I can't say enough to our staff about the talent that they use, their attention to detail, they did a wonderful job or we wouldn't have gotten that money. And I know that we certainly need those projects taken care of. The only other thing I'd add is I'm concerned about Conway Superstars. Conway Superstars is the only non-athletic showcasing of talent there is in the city. And I think that we can make a way to have it happen. Most recently in 2019, we moved it inside. Now to the dismay of a few people, but those aren't the people who have been showing up in August to sit out in that park because it's extremely hot. But it seems to me that if we start to plan now and we control the number of contestants, we control the number of supporters per contestant, that we can do this again. We can do it indoors and we can still have this important talent show happen. I mean, the talent is just enormous. They need a place to show their skills and to have a chance at being selected one of Conway's 3 superstars. So I hope that just like we're planning for summer camp and just like we've made a drive-by Easter egg hunt. Who would have thought of such a thing? If we can do that.
Drive through there.
I said drive. No, I said drive by. What you said, drive through?
Drive through.
No, it's really a drive by. Okay, drive through. And that's all I have. Mr. Goldfinch, were you gonna make a comment?
I was going to piggyback. I think by the time you plan something like that, and I don't pretend to know what all goes into planning that. And maybe I'm naive, maybe I'm just overly optimistic, but I think enough vaccines will have been administered, or you'll have the opportunity to say, no, I don't want one. And then that's on you. But at that point, plan it.
Surely.
Plan it and the Easter egg hunt. I don't see, if that's what Ashley and team wants to do, but I don't see what's wrong. Would they otherwise hide them out here in the grass?
It's a mess.
So we did a planning meeting for programming, and we actually have tentatively set the date for August the 14th and intend to move forward with the Conway Superstars.
And I didn't know that. You read my mind. Awesome.
The Easter egg hunt we typically do in large numbers here for agers from 2 to 12. And we have thousands of people come to it. And then we have one also for the Twilight egg hunt for older kids at Riverfront Park. And it's just a very concentrated amount of people that we're just not comfortable with yet.
Okay.
What was that date in August, please, Jane? The 18th?
August the 14th.
14th. Thank you. That's awesome. I'm glad we're thinking along the same line. Well, if all hearts are clear, all matters done, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Goldfinch. Mr. Hyman.
I'll second Mr. Goldfinch's motion.
We have probably seconded motion to adjourn this meeting. All in favor with a show of hands, please. And the motion carries unanimously. Had a really good meeting. Thank you all.